Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to break down one of the most significant developments in recent months, a story that has shocked observers across the world. Putin, once seen as a powerful leader who could dictate the direction of Eastern Europe, has now been forced to turn toward Belarus for help. This move comes after Ukraine's relentless counteroffensives and clever strategies have stripped Russia of much of its military strength, territory, and reputation. In this analysis, we will look at the situation as if we were reviewing a failing machine, exploring its exterior appearance, its interior structure, its performance on the battlefield, the safety mechanisms Russia once relied on, the unique selling points that made it seem unbeatable, the price being paid for these choices, and finally, what all this means for the conclusion of the conflict. From the outside, Russia has always projected an image of dominance. For decades, the Kremlin showcased itself as a global heavyweight, a nation that could not be challenged. The military parades, the huge arsenal of weapons, and the stories of invincibility were all part of that exterior image. But today, when the world looks at Russia, the shine has faded. Ukraine has recaptured territory, shown superior coordination, and revealed just how vulnerable Moscow's forces really are. The once polished and intimidating exterior is now battered, filled with dents and cracks, and even the Russian people themselves can see the difference. The power that was supposed to impress and intimidate is no longer convincing. Instead of fear, it now invites questions and even ridicule from nations who used to consider Russia untouchable. Inside, things are even more unstable. Belarus has now become the emergency seat in Russia's crumbling system. Alexander Lukashenko's government is practically the only neighbor willing to give Putin any kind of assistance. But the help is fragile, and the interior doesn't look solid. Belarus itself is struggling with its own economic and political issues. Its population is deeply divided about the war, with many Belarusians opposed to any involvement. The interior does not offer the kind of strength that Russia needs. It only provides a temporary space, like a car with torn seats and broken wiring, that still somehow moves forward but cannot guarantee a safe or comfortable ride. Putin's reliance on Belarus reveals just how hollow the interior has become. On the battlefield, performance tells the most painful story for Moscow. Ukraine has managed to outthink and outmaneuver a military that was once considered one of the strongest in the world. Russia has been exposed as unprepared, lacking proper logistics, and failing to motivate its soldiers. Supplies are running short, morale is sinking, and commanders struggle to control the chaos. Ukraine, on the other hand, has shown incredible adaptability. With the support of modern weapons from the West, clever strategies, and the determination of its people, it has turned the war into a demonstration of superior performance against overwhelming odds. Every Russian setback adds to the image of a machine that simply cannot keep up with the demands of the battlefield. What was once feared as a powerful engine of war now sputters and breaks down under pressure. Russia always believed it had safety nets in place. Its alliances, its massive energy exports, its nuclear arsenal, and its long history of dominance was supposed to act as protective layers. But in reality, these safety features are proving ineffective. Sanctions from the West have cut into the economy, stripping away the stability that Russia depended on. Allies who once benefited from Moscow's influence are now keeping their distance, afraid of facing consequences themselves. Belarus, while providing some support, cannot act as a true shield. At best, it is like an airbag in a car crash. It may soften the impact, but it cannot prevent the accident itself. Russia has discovered that its safety mechanisms are outdated and weak, unable to handle the scale of the challenges it now faces. In the past, Russia's unique selling points were obvious. It was a nuclear power with the largest landmass in the world, an energy giant that supplied Europe with vital oil and gas, and a military force that could intimidate its neighbors. These selling points made it seem untouchable. But today, those features no longer look as valuable. Europe has moved quickly to cut dependence on Russian energy. Nuclear threats are seen more as signs of desperation than true strength, and the military has been exposed as inefficient and corrupt. Meanwhile, Ukraine has turned its resilience, creativity, and international support into its own unique selling points. Ukraine has become a symbol of defiance, a country that can withstand pressure from a much larger neighbor and still push back. In many ways, Ukraine now has the more compelling story to tell, while Russia's once proud selling points have lost their shine. The cost of this war is enormous, and here is where the price becomes impossible to ignore. For Russia, the price is measured not just in billions of dollars lost from sanctions and war expenses, but in tens of thousands of soldiers killed or injured. Families across Russia are paying with their loved ones' lives, and the economy is suffering under the weight of international isolation. For Belarus, the price is the risk of being dragged into a war that could bring sanctions, protests, and political instability. Lukashenko may offer support, but he knows that the cost for his country could be devastating. For Ukraine, the price is also incredibly high. Cities destroyed, lives lost, and millions displaced. But the difference is that Ukraine is paying this price for independence, freedom, and a future that it is fighting to secure. Russia, on the other hand, pays a higher and higher cost while gaining less and less in return. The entire picture now comes together in a conclusion that is difficult for Moscow to accept. Putin turning to Belarus is not a demonstration of power, it is an act of desperation. It shows the world that Russia can no longer rely on its own strength to achieve its goals. Ukraine has stripped away not only territories, but also Russia's reputation for military dominance, its economic stability, and its political influence. The exterior may still appear threatening to those who only glance at it, but anyone looking closely can see the weakness within. The interior is shaky, the performance is failing, the safety features no longer work, the selling points have lost their meaning, and the price is unsustainable. This situation sends a strong message. Even powerful nations that seem invincible can collapse when they underestimate their opponents and overreach their capabilities. Ukraine has proven that courage, strategy, and international unity can overcome brute force. For Russia, the call to Belarus is a symbol of how far it has fallen. Once seen as a global giant, it is now seen as a struggling power clinging to a fragile ally just to survive. The war has not only reshaped Ukraine's destiny, but also revealed to the world the limits of Moscow's strength. In the end, what we are witnessing is history in the making. A moment where a leader once feared across the globe is reduced to seeking help from a smaller neighbor, and where a nation once underestimated is writing its story of resilience and victory. Ukraine's fight has taken everything from Russia that mattered: territory, pride, security, and influence. And now, as Putin turns to Belarus, the world sees the clear picture: the fall of a power that could not keep up with the courage of those who refused to surrender.